Letters from America, a road trip podcast searching for the Swedish heritage within the United States. I'm your host, Martin Van, and today I've parked the Volvo outside the City Hall of Dallas. And with me in the Airstream is Don RAINES.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. You're the city planner of Dallas?
Yes, yeah. One of the few.
One of the few. And I want to know more about you, but there's no Swedish connection really with you. So This is kind of a special episode, and we're going to get to why in a minute. But tell me a little bit what you do here and what a city planner of Dallas life looks like.
A city planner, and it varies quite a bit. Yeah. I tend to focus on long-range planning, and long-range planning means that you learn the history and you understand what the intentions are from decades, and you basically make sure that the city stays on course. And another type of planner called a current planner focuses on particular cases, new developments and things like this. But a long-range planner tends to be more almost like a historian, but understands that we can't make decisions unless we really look at the intentions of what the people wanted all along. So comprehensive planning is what they call it. But I also focus...
Does that mean that you take the original intent in...
Yes.
But the original intent can change.
It does change. And we do have to update our comprehensive plan every so often. We just did it a couple of years ago to make sure that, yes, you have to adjust. Planning always changes, always. But we want to make sure we don't make decisions that would upend some ideas. Like, say, if we did a development, we allowed for a development to happen, but there was supposed to be a trail there, or there was supposed to be, or we need to save this particular ecosystem from development, or it may flood in this location. We have to kind of review everything to make sure that we don't make bad decisions. So we work with developers, but we also... It's pretty complex, actually, but
I believe you.
But also, my background is more into landscape architecture and urban design. Really, I'm more of an urban designer, which is sort of a mix between landscape architecture, and planning. And but it's
in which direction is Dallas heading when it comes to that?
Dallas is heading in the direction of more density, more people coming here. We're the 9th largest city in the country now, and.
Really? That's
We're number 9.
Number 9, okay.
But there's a lot of growth that's projected for Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, we call it. In fact, they project that this area, by the year 2100, will have 34 million people, which will be the number 1 populated concentration in the United States. Now, I'm not going to live that long.
But you're going to be busy.
But that would put New York to number 5th place at that time.
Oh, really?
So it's hard to imagine that.
Why is that?
There's so much land here, and there's so much opportunity to grow. But we can't just keep spreading outward like Los Angeles and Houston do. So we have to find ways to be very efficient where people live, and to understand that people want a variety of homes. They don't want just single family. Sometimes the people like myself live in what they call missing middle housing, which is like townhomes and condos. And so we have to just be very efficient of how we plan for the future. Yeah. And understand the past at the same time.
And that leads me to why I'm so delighted to have you in this trailer. Because you have, from what I've heard, great knowledge of the history. And there's a couple of key points with Swedish connection in this.
Yes, absolutely.
Where do you want to start?
Well, I'll start with myself quickly. My family came to the States, father's side 1750s, mother's side 1640s. It's really early.
Oh, yeah.
And so...
that's really early.
Very early. Yeah. And I have some relation to... George Calvert, which is Lord Baltimore. So it was on my mother's side, things like that. And Nathaniel Hawthorne, too, on my mother's side. So I've got a good understanding of history. Yeah. I know one of my family members was in 1066 in the Norman invasion. But things fall apart, too. So, we learned some things like this. However, my family came here in 1875. And
to the Dallas area?
Yes, and when it was still really new. And so... they came from Tennessee through that area to here. A lot of Texans do come from Tennessee. So I think that
because that's the expansion west,
right.
Tennessee. Yeah,
but I think what attracts people to Texas, at least 100 years ago, or maybe still today, is sort of the spirit of the pioneers that came here before us. There's an entrepreneurial spirit, and I think that's even what attracted probably our most famous Swedish person in Dallas, who had such a huge impact, and it'd be Eric Johnson.
Eric Johnson.
He had a very difficult role. He became mayor just a few months after the Kennedy assassination, so in February of '64. And so at that time, the city went through trauma, basically. I've worked on I've really studied the JFK assassination in depth, but the city was known for that. We were called the City of Hate. We're not very hateful people. It was a very unfortunate thing that happened here in downtown Dallas. People forget that there were 100,000 people welcoming JFK. However, when Eric Johnson became...
Everything we see is the images of the shooting.
Everything was negative. Yeah. The city shut down.
Yeah.
And even 50, 60 years later, it's still recovering in some ways. It takes several generations. However...
excuse me, but I actually thought of it today because there's almost like a site that you can go to.
Yes, exactly.
Of a murder.
Yes.
It's kind of obscure in a way.
Yes.
Okay, sorry for interrupting.
No, it's fine. No. And there's an inscription piece that my wife and I both designed on the grassy knoll too.
Oh, yeah.
And it was actually the speech that John F. Kennedy was supposed to say that day.
Oh,
it was in his left front pocket, and they found it at the hospital.
Yeah.
And so his speech is incredible. It's all about optimism. And but anyway,
ironic.
So. Eric Johnson's family
was from Sweden.
They came from Sweden, and they came to Brooklyn, New York in 1890s. And he was born in Brooklyn, but came here. But what's so amazing about Eric Johnson is, first of all, before he was mayor, he worked for a company called Texas Instruments, and he was the president in the 1950s.
The calculator company for all the school students.
So he harbored an entrepreneurial spirit to begin with, of which the integrated circuit was invented in 1958. We wouldn't have a lot of these conversations without the integrated circuit today. So he fostered a sense of entrepreneurship. And then when he became mayor in February of '64, just a few months after, he wanted to create goals for Dallas. He wanted to help the city recover. You know, the old city halls where Oswald was shot. So the goal was to create a new city hall, but also a new library that we have here, the convention center, with a $175 million bond election in the 60s. And he wanted a world-class architect. He wanted to make sure that we had modern architecture, that we basically were looking forward instead of backwards. But he had a big role. He was mayor from 1964 to 1971. So it was a very critical time in the city's history of trying to recover. You know, people were trying to... I mean, even in my lifetime, I couldn't go outside Texas and say I was from Dallas without that stigma, without people, you know, looking at you like, oh, were you part of this?
Dallas was part of the assassination.
Yeah, because it was never solved. People thought it was never solved, so it makes you a suspect. And, you know, even as a little kid.
Yeah.
So it was tough. And so psychologists and sociologists have looked at Dallas carefully and saw that it really affected the pride of the city and Texas as well. So, and the fact that, you know, actually, even my mother talked to Nellie Conley. She was in the same car with Kennedy. She was the governor's wife. And she said something. She looked back and she said, "Mr. President, you can't say Dallas doesn't love you." And he said, "You're right." And that's when he got shot.
Wow.
And that was really hard because, you know, his last words were, "You're right." And he thought, this wasn't, why was I worried, you know? And it happened at the exact location where the city started. Even worse.
That's even worse.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Just a side note on that, because that's interesting. Why do you think that? I'm not excusing, you know, assassinations of leaders, politics, of anybody at all. but this particular man, John F. Kennedy, and what happened to him,
Right.
Why has that cut such a hole in
Dallas?
in Dallas, or in history of the world, though? Because everybody knows about it.
Sure.
And it's like a scar of the world, just that particular man. Why do you think that is?
I think because Dallas people want to be accepted. They may be somewhat sensitive about their identity in some cases. They know it's a friendly city.
Yeah.
And everything about it being friendly and all that belief just kind of came to a halt when the assassination happened, because it was totally opposite of what the city thought of itself as.
Yeah.
And it's still a friendly city today, but it cut deep because it was a very popular president, young president, who put his faith in the city. Drove in a convertible. Everybody, really did. I'd say there's some people in Dallas that were not Kennedy fans. There were some people that were
of course,
against,
because it's politics.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of polarization in that time, at the time. So it's similar to today. But I would say, yeah, it was just a tough time in the '60s, and just to have all this filmed and broadcasted, and the world reaction.
Maybe that's a reason why it got so much of a trauma.
Yeah,
it's one of the first televised things that happened.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he was a very media president.
Yes.
And that's also the beginning of that era.
Yeah.
So everything sort of fell into place to that.
All the controversies you hear about, conspiracy theories, it seems to have originated here from the Kennedy assassination too.
Yeah, exactly.
But we
everything leads back to that in a way, from Area 51.
Right.
To,
Exactly. But Robert Kennedy was killed in Los Angeles. Other presidents have been shot at too.
Yeah.
Lincoln as well as
that's a little bit my point. And I'm not excusing that in any way, but the Kennedy is just that thing is just a trauma for everybody.
It was a trauma, but
okay, good.
But an important thing about our Swedish mayor,
Swedish mayor,
is that
Eric Johnson.
He came and he created a sense of pride, even though he's an immigrant to Dallas from New York and his parents. But obviously his intelligence. I mean, he was a very smart man, very focused on empowering people, and his experience at Texas Instruments. I mean, he transformed that company.
Yeah.
He went from an oil exploration company to a technology company, and
this was before he was mayor.
Yeah, before he was mayor. So he already had strong connections. He knew how to get important people in Dallas to weigh in on the design of City Hall. There's a lot of Boston influence in the City Hall here. It's a brutalist architecture, and that has to do with RAINES, who was from Boston, who's a very important developer in Dallas as well, who collects modern art.
That's your field, I can tell. You're smiling.
It is, but it's amazing. Even the plaza behind us here at City Hall, half of it's wooded and half of it looks like desert, which is like what Dallas is. It's like half east is wooded and the west is more desert. So even our plaza resembles where Dallas is in the United States, in the middle. Okay. So we're a fan of him, and he created goals for Dallas. He helped the city recover in those very critical years in the '60s, and so
he was mayor for quite a while.
Yeah, it was from '64 to '71, and I remember the mayor after him too. It was a young man named Wes Wise. Who had a Volkswagen Beetle, which is kind of a radical hippie mayor.
Right? The opposite.
Right. But Eric Johnson was very critical to Dallas. Plus, he helped get Dallas-Fort Worth Airport built, which opened up the world. That has more to do with Dallas-Fort Worth growth than anything, because before 1973, the idea is that maybe we can have ships coming from the Trinity River from Houston all the way up. But then all of a sudden, when the airport happened,
and sort of connects Dallas to the rest of the world.
And the airport's larger than Manhattan. It's huge. But anyway, that connection opened up the world. And so he had a lot of things happened after his lifetime. He lived to 1995, I believe. So he lived a long life into his
in Dallas.
In his 90s. Yes. think he was born in like 1901 or something. He was.
Oh wow!
He lived a long life.
Yeah.
But very tall man.
And I'm on the hunt for footprints, Swedish footprints.
Oh, we have a statue of him inside City Hall.
Yeah, and also want to point out we're parked in the middle of what his achievements in a way.
Yes, we are. And
so talk about a footprint.
His footprint is huge and very transformative for this city. And so we owe a lot to him. And he was only a single child from his parents that came from Sweden. And I don't know what brought him to Texas, but we're glad he came.
We're glad he came. So if we move on,
yes,
what can we find any more Swedish footprints here?
Greyhound,
yes. Greyhound buses.
Yes, opens up again. Since we're in the middle of the United States, more or less, the idea of the Greyhound bus system from the founder is the Swedish.
Yeah.
Also, that.
Yeah, Eric Wickman.
Wickman,
yeah.
Yes. That.
Oh, I need to stop there a little bit.
That's okay.
Greyhound Buses is actually founded by a Swede.
Yes.
Yeah, here in Dallas.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes, Greyhound.
I just want to make that clear.
Yes, I apologize. But that's, again, that opened up the whole United States to travel.
Yeah, of course.
And I think, so the Swedish influence in Dallas has a lot to do with civic pride and transportation and, getting around. So Greyhound opened up all the United States.
Yeah, the Greyhound bus really changed the way of travel within the entire United States.
It did.
Yeah.
And as vast
and they're still doing it in a way.
Yes, and as vast as this country is, we're still trying to catch up on our rail system.
But it's a huge place. I mean, it's a huge place.
It's a big place, and you'll discover when you go west from here. But it's
Texas never ends in a way.
Texas is quite large. Yeah. It is. This Texas story, it used to be its own country at one point in time.
Yeah, and the Republic of Texas.
Republic of Texas, and I don't mean to digress from that, but it's interesting how it was Mexico for 15 years, and it's interesting because when Mexico broke from Spain, it was Spanish for 300 years. This was Spain.
Yeah.
But when Mexico broke from Spain and they included Texas as one of the states or one of the territories, they had a little trouble with the Native Americans, the Comanche, and they were like, maybe we should invite the people from the United States to come and, kind of pioneer this area. But and then they made it illegal for people from the United States to come to Mexico in 1830. So there was, ironically, it's ironic of what's happened. But then the Texans said, well, we don't like the way we're run here. We're kind of like the Alaska of Mexico. We're sort of out there. And so there was a revolution, of course. Yeah, it's difficult. However, even though I have European ancestry, I do think of I don't think of Mexican as foreign. I think that the people here, they're indigenous, are really who we are. So we may call it Mexican food, but it's not foreign to us.
No, it's food.
It's food.
Yeah.
Right.
But going back to the Greyhound buses.
Yes, okay.
Because what else can we... Do they know that they're founded by a Swede? Because it's such for me, it's such an iconic American brand in a way.
It is.
The design, the sort of Art Deco buses that came out, the silver thing and the logo and everything is like super American.
It is very American. It wouldn't hurt to have a Swedish flag next to it.
No,
but I think it would be wise for people to realize the contributions of Swedish Americans to this country. It's very important. We hear about the contributions of German. We hear about the contributions of British. But we can never just say Sweden. It's just this influence. But it's profound throughout the country. Everybody contributes to the United States, and it's the only way it could have worked.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, it's just a big experiment that could go wrong. And our 250th anniversary of this country. It's important that we realize that we didn't get here by just chance. It took a lot of sheer will of people. The pioneers, the Native Americans too. We cannot just forget about what they have done.
No.
They brought grace to this land. It's
and in many cases
rooted.
they also led the way, because they had in the beginning they had a communication and guidance to the people who came. So that's
we were very fortunate here in this part of Texas, because we had the Caddo CADDO nation, very congenial Native American people. They were like ambassadors. They would solve issues with other tribes.
Oh yeah, all right.
And even our founder in Dallas, he spoke their language, and he wanted to trade with them. But ironically, Fort Worth, west of here, they were with the Comanche, and they were fighting the Comanche. So it's completely opposite.
Oh yeah.
Even though we're 30 miles apart.
So Fort Worth at that time was sort of the...
It was a fort.
Yeah, of course, but that was sort of the outpost.
It was the outpost.
Towards west.
Right, because there's a tree line that goes between Dallas and Fort Worth called the Cross Timbers, and that was the territory between the Caddo and the Comanche.
Okay, long before.
Completely different characteristics. So Dallas takes on the characteristic of the native people, which is like we look east, and Fort Worth looks west. It's very unusual. You'll see when you go west.
I'll see when I go west.
It just changes.
I'm going today.
So, it just starts to change. But that has everything to do with the characteristics of the Native Americans before us. It's not that the Comanche were bad. They just basically were fierce. They knew how to ride horses. They knew how to protect territory. But the Mexican government was a little bit scared of us, so they said, we need people with guns, unfortunately.
We need people with guns.
And that's the history of this area.
The history of war.
But, you're in the prairie here, and the prairie is a place that Walt Whitman said is where American ideas can open up. Everything is big sky. You can see the sunrise and the sunset here, which some people may think, oh, it's flat, it's terrible. But we see it as like, maybe we're sky people. We see it as like the prairie has, tiny flowers and huge thunderclouds. So there's a huge difference in contrast. Sweden, you have all the islands. you have the ocean. You have Norway and Finland. You have
all the lakes.
Lakes. You have a lot of things that probably determine how the people see the land as well. I think it all matters. I think the history really makes who we are. Yeah,
of course, and the landscape. And I would argue, just to simplify, I know that it's not that easy, but Sweden is a very long land, and it's a huge difference of the north part, the center part, and the south part.
Correct.
Which you can see in the personalities of those people, if I generalize, and also with the accents. It changes. So if you meet a Swede from the south part and then go north and meet another Swede, they're not really the same. It's different. So and even though we're such a small country, it's a huge difference on those distances. So, and I love it. And I love, like you said, you call it the prairie. I would say the flatlands.
Fine.
Yeah, I really love that, because it I can understand the feeling, because it gives you a symbolic feeling of anything is possible.
That's true.
Because it never ends. You just look at a disappearing horizon.
Right.
Especially when you're driving. It just goes. You go out into nowhere, and that feeling is. I can't explain it, but I just keep moving. So I love that.
No, it's. You would be surprised how remoteness can actually be inspiring.
Yeah.
I've been in remote places in Texas where I didn't see anybody for hours.
Okay, you have to give me examples. After this, you have to give me examples.
I'll tell you where to go if you want.
I'd love to. Seriously, I'd love to do that.
But you might be scared because you're thinking I haven't seen another person for hours and hours or any sign of life. But it's a completely transformative feeling when you get away from other people and you see these remote places. As long as you have a full tank of gas, you should be fine.
I got a spare tank also.
Good for you.
I got water in this one.
And buy your gas in Arizona before you get to California. It gets very expensive. So
fill it up. So I'm going to end with something. I really appreciate talking to you.
Sure.
I'm going to end with something that I do in every episode.
Okay.
But this is a special episode,
well,
so it's going to be a little bit
I'm very
weird.
honored. Thank you.
I'm honored to have you. So we're in Texas, and we're in Dallas right here. And the question that I ask my guests is that I know that you're from here.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the question still remains: where is home? Do you feel home in Dallas?
I do.
Yeah,
I do. I think it has a lot to do with it's not finished.
No.
If it was a city that was complete and done, then I wouldn't have any influence.
No.
So because it is a rough diamond, I feel like it has opportunity for the rest of my life and beyond for people to have influence. So it is a city that's still growing. It was only founded in 1841. And so it was just one person in 1841 until he married. But I'm just saying that...
Talk about loneliness.
Lonely man, 29-year-old too. So, but, you know, I think what I think about Dallas is that there's other places. I love Boston. I love California as well. The thing about Texas is because I think we have to be sheer will. We have to challenge ourselves in this kind of environment. Nothing is laid out for us. We have to basically do what we can to make our life livable. Yeah. But we welcome people from all over the world. We're a very welcoming city. So
if I draw a line from there to there and you sign your name.
Yes, Don. Or
RAINES.
My last name too?
Yeah, your signature.
Oh. Well, I have architecture background, so I tend to print, but I'll try to do my signature.
And if you were to...
I'm going to say it too.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So if you were to write a letter, which I usually ask now, where is home, where you come from, but you come from here, so just write a letter to all of our listeners about this place.
About Texas.
Just a short one.
I would say...
A message.
A message to Sweden. A letter to Sweden.
Yeah.
First of all, we would welcome you. We want to learn from you. We would really welcome your ideas, and we appreciate your stories. We would really like to be a part of a good friendship. We're jealous of Wisconsin. They have a strong relation with Sweden, of course. However, I think that there's room for Swedes to be here. We want to hear what your thoughts are, because we think that there's a friendship and a kinship. There's a relation there that we know you're friendly. We know we're friendly, except for when we drive. I think that we could really do well as a.
That's beautiful.
Together. That's the letter. And thank you for being part of our country and contributing to our story. We won't take that for granted. It is from Swedes that have done a lot to this country as well. And so everyone contributes. We should never forget.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you very much. I appreciate having you.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Martin.
You have listened to Letters from America, a weekly road trip podcast celebrating the Swedish heritage in the United States. Produced in collaboration with the Embassy of Sweden in Washington, D.C., Volvo Cars USA, Volvo Trucks USA, and Airstream.